Hey everyone, welcome to Collector Chatter. This is episode 69. I am your host, Migs, here, my co-host Charlie. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about the latest news. Not too much stuff, but some pretty quality things. And we're also going to talk about maybe some controversy when it comes to Funko. Let's see what we talk about.
And if you haven't already, if you could please like this video, comment, and hit that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. And also make sure you're subscribed to the channel. All right, with that being said, let's chat.
All right, everyone, it's time to talk about Funko again. Let's talk about another great week of some drops, some leaks, some whatever it is. We're going to talk about it. Not too much stuff in the news
No.
in this last week. So it's a little bit slower. So should be a shorter episode. We'll run through some of the stuff that we're excited for. And obviously there is some awesome NFT news, which that I know we're definitely very excited for versus last week's talk was not as exciting. So we'll get right into it. Charlie, you can start us off like you normally do.
Yeah.
And just
One
what's up? What was good?
one thing I'm super excited for, and I think Funko listened to our last week's episode. We got some new sodas.
Dude, they
They
listen to every episode,
they
bro.
do. They have
I feel
to.
like every time we have a little sprinkle of something, it literally comes to fruition. It's kind of
It
weird.
does. And
So,
these sodas are pretty
thank you,
sick.
Funko.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate it. Because I'm gonna go off with like I think one of these sodas I'm gonna talk about is a perfect soda. We kind of talked about this beforehand. So a bunch of these are Disney. First one I'm talking about is
Yeah.
Hercules. So we have, Hercules as his adult version self that everyone knows and loves, but the
Mm,
chase is him as a baby, which
yeah.
is like super sick. Like he's on even on top of like, a pillar. He's
Yeah.
there holding the lightning bolt. I think this may be one of my favorite sodas like ever made.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and I mean, I'm a Hercules fan. I'm not like a huge one. I actually don't even really collect much of the Hercules
Yeah.
pops, but like, I just think the soda's so cool. And
Yeah.
like, it goes along, it reminds me a lot of the Up one, the Carl one that
Yep.
we got. And like,
Yep.
we talk about this all the time. And like, I know some people probably think it's exhausting, but like, this is what they got to be doing. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a perfect set, like we said. Like I think I'm at the point that like I'm okay with not all of them doing this now
Of
because when they
course.
do it, it just makes it even more exciting and it makes it more like cool and unique. But yeah, this is clearly like what we always say, like this is a perfect soda combination, common chase. It is interesting though because like you said, this is going to be very similar to the Up one that came out, Carl. It was obviously a lot bigger, old version. I think it was like a little kid
Yeah.
version. They also did it with like I have back here one of the Keymaster guy when he was a dog,
Oh, yeah. From
and like
Ghostbusters.
yeah, from Ghostbusters, which was a completely different one as well. But that also is where you got that like you can tell the can difference like on these. They were like drastically different in the Carl one. So I just feel
Yeah.
like this one because now granted he's got the pillar part too, so that kind of adds a little bit. But I think that's even better, like you were saying, like that's an awesome detail that they put on it. And yeah, it's definitely a soda that, and I'm not like the biggest Hercules fan either. Like I, watch it, it's like whatever. Like I think my wife's a bigger fan of it, honestly. But it's definitely a sweet like combination of sodas.
And then to continue on with that list, we also got a Stitch soda, which we
Mhm.
don't have like a normal Stitch one. They've only ever come out with the Christmas version. So this one's pretty cool. And, is the normal one is him kind of making a silly face. And then the chase is him, doing like a hula dance. Cause
Yep.
obviously this is a huge like Hawaiian based movie. I think this one's awesome as well. And then the other one that they announced was from Ben 10. So totally doesn't go with these
Yeah.
ones. It's a Cartoon Network show. I think they've made one other soda. I know there's a pretty big fandom for this. A lot of people are excited. This one doesn't excite me. I don't think it like excites you either. So
No, I didn't even
kind
know where it
of
was from.
yeah.
Alien
So
X, that's what it's called. I didn't
if
even know.
if you all are fans, like let us know. But it's not something that goes part of our collections. And then continuing with the leaders, we got Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas, which this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think this one's perfect for the 3 liter.
Mhm.
We already do have obviously a normal size soda of him, so like kind of goes against what we've talked about in the past, where we kind of wish, even though he is a larger than life character, like they've already done him. I don't think we really needed this soda, even though it's cool. And like I know in the normal one, the common chase combination's awesome. It's different.
Yeah, yeah.
Where this one's basically exactly the same. I think it just glows in the dark.
Yeah. And yeah, the original one, like you were saying, it's pretty old. It's one of like the
Yeah, OG
first few
ones.
waves. So that one's been out for a little while. And obviously Nightmare Before Christmas in general and sodas has been a big, I
Yeah.
have a bunch of them up here. Like they've been pretty big on like pumping out more, a bunch of different versions of Jack, obviously. But yeah, I think that one's super cool. It does fit that. It isn't, like we already have it in soda. So like, did we need to make a bigger one? Probably not, but it's still, I think, makes sense, kind of justified to be in that size of a 3 liter. I did want to kind of just say real quick, I do like the pace that they've been doing now with 3 liters. We're just kind of getting
Agreed.
them here and there. It's not too overwhelming, which I was, hoping we didn't get too overwhelmed with them. But yeah, that's definitely pretty cool. And then to go back on a couple other ones that you mentioned, obviously I don't know too much about that Alien X Ben 10 character. But Stitch one I thought was great. And this is like the type of Disney soda that we always talk about. Like they should have a regular version
Yeah.
and then like kind of like a character version after, which obviously like the Hula Stitch, we have those pops already as well. But the regular Stitch is the normal one, which is funny because it's not the first one that came out. Because what was the other one? Was it a Christmas one
It
or
was a
something that
Christmas
came out?
one.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a Stitch, which was really odd. But yeah, overall, obviously still pretty sick. And the Oogie Boogie is pretty cool. I probably won't get it. I have like an oversized Oogie Boogie already, like a 10-inch one on here. It's a blacklight one.
Yep.
Which I like that one a lot. But yeah, I thought that was still pretty cool. But we had more sodas.
Yeah.
So I get it's these. So more Disney actually too. So we had Peter Pan, a whole wave of Peter Pan sodas, 6 sodas. So I have them up here. So I'll try to run through these. So obviously we got all like the main characters. So we got Wendy. So we got Wendy, Tinkerbell, TikTok, Smee, Peter Pan, and Captain Hook. They're all numbered, so they're 12,000 piece. So this isn't like one of those sets that came out all in one and they're not
Yep.
numbered. So I like that they did that because we literally, it's so funny. We were just talking about this. Like they haven't been dropping these big waves and all of a sudden we get them. But right off the bat, we got a Wendy regular. Most of these aren't too drastic of like mold changes, but I do like some more than the others. The Wendy, and then she's just like glitter. It looks like the
Yep.
Chase, so same mold, looks like she's glitter. A few people in the comments have said it, and I thought the same thing. It looks like she's like flipping you off. It's kind of funny
Yes.
the way her
So
hands
weird.
are, which is like a weird way of her holding her hands. Then we got Tinkerbell. I love the Tinkerbell mold. The regular one looks awesome. And then obviously the other one, different color. And then she's got like the
Yeah, I
thimble on
love
her
this one.
head, which is super cool. She's a little bit smaller. So that's a nice difference. Even her pose is different because obviously she's holding up the thimble and the chase. Then we got a TikTok, which obviously is the alligator. This one was interesting because it doesn't show a chase. I don't know if it's not going to have a chase or it was just like right now we just haven't seen it. I would assume it would. But obviously they do make sodas that don't have chases. Like it's very few. I think
Yep.
it's only like a handful of them, but they're usually a smaller number. Like 12,000 to not have a chase, I think would be a little odd. So I'm wondering if like I don't know if
Agreed.
you've seen anything out there.
I haven't, but I just think because this one's a leak, I guess. I mean,
Yeah. It
Funko has
hasn't
such a.
been officially. Yeah,
I'm assuming they're just missing the picture,
yeah,
in my
that'd be
opinion.
something. Then we got a Smee, of course, awesome character. It looks just like him. I think it's a really good
Yeah.
mold. And then the Chase, he has like a beer. So obviously, like I said, the mold's the same. They just like added something to it. So it's not drastic, but it's him. And that's a good you know, him with the beer is awesome looking. Then this one I think is pretty cool. The Peter Pan. So obviously
Yeah.
it's the regular Peter Pan. And then we have the all, which I'm assuming is his shadow, right?
Yep.
So it's his mold in all black, which is kind of interesting because they've come out with like a lot of different like all colored, like obviously the Sanderson sisters and a couple other random sodas that have like these all color, and none of them I've seen I feel like are black. So that looks pretty cool
No.
to see in like a mold. Actually it's not the same exact pose.
No, he's
Actually he's
holding up
holding
this
up,
sword.
yeah, the little, so instead of the other one he's got it in his like belt, the other one he's holding it up, so that's cool. And then the Captain Hook, this one I thought was pretty lazy out of all of them. It's
Yeah.
literally the same exact thing. They just added the clock and it's like just almost like pasted on him. It just looks
He's not
odd.
really holding
Um,
it. Yeah.
yeah, I guess he's holding it on its hook. Like if you look at the hook that's going up towards his cheek, like
Okay.
it's hooked onto that. But they could have done. I mean, maybe take the hat off, do something. I feel like it could have been a little
I
better.
I
But
agree.
overall, it's definitely a pretty cool line. And I think Disney specifically and stuff, and some of these lines, they should be doing it. They haven't done it. Most of the time they come out with one random character, then like 5-6 months later you'll get another random character. So I like that this is all from the same movie and we're getting them all. I mean, we don't know when they're coming out, but
Yeah.
seems like they're all going to be released at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think these are awesome. It's probably because of the anniversary from the movie, because we're getting
True.
anniversary pops, but like I do hope that they, like you said, they do this more often, especially with Disney. I feel like the Disney sodas, they're some of the best sodas out there. Like maybe because
Mhm.
they're all based off of animated characters, they kind of just like
Yeah.
really lend well to the soda look. But all in all, I think these are all pretty cool.
Mhm.
Then another thing that they announced, which we kind of nag on a lot sometimes on the show, is a new Funko Gold, but
Mhm.
it's Michael Jordan,
Yeah.
which it's like kind of crazy they didn't already have a Michael Jordan one.
Yeah. Especially
But
with the amount of Michael Jordan stuff they already
stuff that they
have, like in
dropped,
Funko. So
and it just was like a one standalone gold that they've announced. It's got two different color jerseys.
mhm.
But I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I probably won't get it. Like I officially just
Do they have both sizes to drop, or is it just a bigger one? I
I
think
think it was just the bigger one.
bigger one. Okay, I honestly like the bigger ones better than this. The small ones are too small, and they're
Yeah.
not like. And I know sodas are small, but they're like they don't have the same appeal as a soda, obviously. And they're just like legitimately like a little action figure, and like
Yep.
that's just not something I would collect. But I do have a few random ones, but the bigger ones I like. Those are like to me they remind me of more of like the 10-inch. You could put them, somewhere and display them better. But yeah, interesting that Michael was not already out. So obviously, you know, getting it makes sense. We kind of already assumed they would make one of these at some point. Um, it would have been funny if they made, because we're still haven't fully gotten that baseball gold
Nope.
line yet. So it'd been interesting. They still haven't made him in any of the Barons jerseys, which was the minor league of the White Sox. They
Yep.
haven't made even a Funko Pop of that, which is interesting because I'm like, he makes so
I
much Michael Jordan
agree.
stuff. They should make that. Like, even if it's not
They
basketball, they
were
still can
do
make
they
it.
make a Wizards Funko Pop?
That I don't know. I don't think so. I know they kind of obviously when they went crazy with all the Chicago stuff, they went to different numbers. They've also done like all-star versions, but I
Yeah.
don't think they do have Wizards one. I don't know.
Which they should.
But
And
let
then
us know if
two
you guys know.
on the gold, he's not wearing Jordans, which I feel
Oh,
like,
he's not. It's like a
yeah.
plain like white shoe or black shoe or whatever,
Yeah, just
right?
a
Yeah.
plain black shoe. I
Which
mean,
is
it's
interesting
obviously
because
implied, but it's not. I
yeah.
mean,
In the older ones, he obviously never was, and we always thought it was funny. But in the newer ones that they've been coming out with, he is. Even in like the 10-inch one, he's actually, wearing. I have one of them, and he's wearing some like actual Jordans are pretty sweet. But yeah, that one was still, still pretty cool either way.
agreed.
That we're finally getting that. And then let's see, we also had staying on the actually kind of basketball Bulls. Dennis Rodman pop came out, which was part of like the bag and pop bundle. Pretty cool. The bag looks like a basketball. Like it's like pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
they Loungefly and stuff like obviously comes out with these bags with with Funko and I know one day randomly I remember sending you and Trey over a bunch of stuff that if you go into like the sports section of Funko, like when you look at sports pops and stuff, they have a ton, and it's so funny that you don't see anybody talk
Yeah.
about these.
No.
You haven't seen any pages talking about them. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they're just old and we completely missed them, but they came out of nowhere to me. And they make tons of Loungefly bags, wallets, purses, the clear bags of a bunch of different major sports teams. Like obviously the big major Lakers, Dodgers,
Yeah.
Yankees, Red Sox. They make a bunch of that. But it's actually pretty cool because like they're it looks like they're more like they're the smaller bags and like purses and stuff. So like it's not necessarily anything I would get, or even the wallets are kind of like the clutch style like wallets. So it's not, but they look cool and they're a bunch of different designs. But this one was something obviously as part of the 2-pack with the pop with it. But I think it's interesting that Funko does have that. If you guys didn't know, definitely check through their sports part because it's not just pops that's on there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of those sports bags as well.
It's so funny you bring that up. I feel like Funko should get into the game or Loungefly of making some of their bags clear. And I bring
Mhm.
that up just because, like,
Yeah, because they
most
have a
people,
few there.
and you need, like, you can make a sports one because, like, a lot of the NFL stadiums, like, you have to go in with bags of certain dimensions or they need to be clear and see through.
Mhm.
And I feel like there's a market for that for like people who are going to the games, because I went to a concert this weekend, like that was like the bags you needed to use to go in.
Mhm.
And just you saying that now with all these sports ones, like I feel like that would be a pretty good thing for Funko to make. I feel like they're probably not even aware of that market.
Yeah.
It's just funny
Well,
because
they do make some.
they
You've
they
seen them, right?
do that
Yeah,
are
yeah, they do.
completely clear.
Yeah, they do.
Oh
They're in
well,
that
then
same section.
then
But
I
it's
take that
I want to
completely back.
say I want to say it's not for every sport though. I think the only ones they make maybe are basketball ones. I could tell you right now, look real quick. But yeah, it they have them mixed in with the rest of them, and even some of the sports main ones, they're like different versions of like different colors, like it's whether it's like more of an away or let me see if I could pop something up here. Obviously, if you guys are watching, I could try to on post put it
Oh,
up
you're right. I see
afterwards.
them.
You
Wow,
see
I
some,
never
right?
knew they made these.
Yeah. Yeah. So they do make and now like as I was Knicks, Warriors, Sixers, there's a ton of like the regular bags. Um but yeah, they have like a Red Sox one. So it's actually baseball. So they have a Red Sox one, they have a Dodgers one, Angels, where it's like you still got even the Yankees, you still have the logos on the outside, but it is a clear. But they look like they're crossbody bags, so they're
Yeah,
not necessarily like a backpack or anything. But still, I mean, it's still
yeah.
cool that they make that. And it's interesting that when I was running through the sports part, that they had all these different bags and wallets and stuff that I legitimately never seen anyone talk about. So
No, I mean,
I thought it
I
was
feel like I normally know my stuff. That's embarrassing that I didn't know that one. So I
nah,
apologize for giving everyone wrong information. So Funko does know what they're doing then. So someone is a sports fan and goes to events.
yeah,
Um,
somebody.
but I'm curious if a lot of people are even buying them. But
Yeah, I don't think so.
yeah, because like you said, I mean, no one's talking about
A little
them.
pricey
Didn't
as
even know
well.
they're on the yeah. But another thing that they announced, which I think is super cool, even though they make a ton of them, is the new Nightmare Before Christmas anniversary line.
Mhm.
And they were heavy on jacks, but I think they're super cool because they have them with like the tree and the doors to go into like Halloween Town and Christmas. Those are super cool.
Are
I
they like
kind of
deluxe pops
yeah, they're
technically?
deluxe pops.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I like the detail on them is just super cool. They have one him, as with the jack-o'-lantern over his head.
Hmm.
These are very detailed, like they're all movement. Like he's kind of, one of his feet is on the stand, the other's up. He's like making like a motion. They're
Yeah.
making keychains of them. We got another Sally one with her, and like I guess these are all kind of deluxe moments
Hmm.
type ones. We got Jack with him kind of in the lab, and then yeah, it's in the graveyard, like Jack and Sally one. We're getting keychains as well. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're a fan of this movie and you collect them, I feel like these are musts. I thought they're pretty cool because they're definitely
Yeah.
stepped up their game with the detail.
There's certain like lines, I guess you can call them, but like that are very specific to one movie, not like Marvel or Disney. Like when I'm
Yeah,
talking about like a very specific movie or show, that if you only collected that, you can have a massive collection and like
yeah,
be like a diehard fan of it. And one of them is Nightmare Before Christmas for sure. Like there's just so much that they make for that, whether it's pops, sodas, bags,
it's crazy.
keychains,
Everything.
whatever, plushies, everything. They make so much. But like obviously it's a diehard fan base, so like people for the most part will still continue to get stuff. So but yeah, I thought those are they're pretty interesting, they're cool. um Nothing too out of the ordinary, but it's
No,
cool that we didn't have these already, so we're getting some kind of like movie moment type deluxe ones in there. um so we were getting an interesting Entertainment Earth exclusive pop, which is funny because I know last week when we were talking, I was like mentioning that like because we talked about another Jurassic Park pop that came out. And I was saying like, like I don't really like the animals slash pop or dinosaur beasts, whatever you want to call them, pops as much. But this was pretty cool. It's a 18-inch, which is interesting because we obviously don't make a ton of these. It's that mega size. But it's a Brachiosaurus, which is a pretty cool looking like dinosaur, obviously with its long, big neck. And that's like a massive dinosaur, of course, which
yeah,
dinosaurs were all pretty massive. But this was one of the ones that was way bigger than everything else. So it's cool that they're making that pop that big. So like in scale, you can kind of, if you have some of the other dinosaur pops, maybe they'll make sense to scale the size of this one, which is pretty crazy. But that thing is like massive. And it's just like funny, I guess, because pops to me have always been like the head with the two circle eyes and like
Yeah.
whatever the character is. That when it's like an animal or something, it kind of changes that. And obviously, this is like the small little head with the eyes on the side and then a long neck. So like that's what kind of it doesn't like scream Funko, but I think it looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks cool too. I feel like I sit on the opposite end of the spectrum. Like I do like some of the animal ones. Like I do have some of the dinosaur Jurassic Park Funko Pops in my collection. But you're right. Like Funko got to a point where it was like, okay, we're gonna make anything, and it
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
need
yeah.
to like look like I do miss it sometimes. It's like funny how everything comes around, especially in the collectible world. Like a lot of people now like their grails are the OG ones that
Mm-hmm.
look like so basic without detail, especially when you look at the sports players. I mean, they all look exactly the same. They slap a
Oh
different
yeah, the old
jersey on.
ones.
And
Yeah.
now it's like the detail in all these Funko Pops now are amazing. They still kind of kept their look,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not the way they used to be. But
Yeah.
I do think this pop is awesome. And then another thing that they came out with that I'm kind of excited for is an Indiana Jones Funko Shop exclusive. And this is him, in, his professor mode. So he's not wearing his, traditional look that, if you've never seen Indiana Jones like Migs, you would know.
Yeah. I had no idea
Like,
who that was.
yeah.
I'm
So
like,
there you,
it says Indiana Jones,
yeah.
obviously.
But like, I think it's pretty cool. They made this one. I mean, they're really going, you can just tell that like this is the first Indiana Jones movie that's coming out under like the Lucasfilm brand since Disney's owned them. And
Mhm.
like they've never really made merchandise. Like they are hitting Indiana Jones merchandise hard like they do at Star Wars.
Yeah.
I like as a huge fan, I think it's cool, but I think it's a mistake. Like the fan base just isn't there like it is for Star Wars. Um
Yeah. I
it's
think a lot's
upsetting
gonna
because
sit around.
I think it's going to sit around. I personally don't even think the movie's going to do that well, which is upsetting for me to say, but it just it's just not the same as Star Wars. But if you're
Mhm.
an Indiana Jones fan, it's amazing you can finally add these to your collection. I'm just shocked at how many they've made.
Yeah. They definitely have
They
gone
went from
crazy.
0 to 100.
And I mean, they took it with like, oh, this movie's coming out. We're gonna come out with everything that this franchise has
Yes.
movie wise, not just the fact that the movie's coming out because they're doing a lot of old stuff. So yeah, it's definitely interesting that now we're getting that that wave of stuff coming out. Something else that I'm a fan of course, is horror. And staying with more Entertainment Earth exclusives because they seem to be one of the major players and always having some type of exclusive out there. There's going to be another blacklight horror pop. This one's going to be Carrie. So I actually have, I think they had dropped four, three or
Yep.
four. Yeah, I think it's four, right? And I do have them. Just I'm a fan of Blacklight, obviously, but I'm a bigger fan of horror. So I do have Michael Myers and stuff and Chucky. But now we're getting Carrie, which is pretty cool. She's got the blood obviously all over her. They, for the most part, Blacklights in general usually are a redone mold. They're not normally like at all like
No, no.
unique. For the most part, they're like the same thing, just in blacklight color. So this obviously already exists. It's a cool pop already. But to see just in black light, I think it's pretty interesting. It's not like it fits it obviously, as much as like black light fits some pops, but I still think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool too. I mean, we said last time, like once the black light craze is going to end, but I feel like it does fit well with the horror ones.
Hmm.
Another thing that came out, which we kind of also talked about last week, but came to fruition, but a different one was released first, was the next train pop
Hmm.
Amazon exclusive. This one we got Woody. He's on like the Pixar Lux ball. Like this one's sick. Like I actually think this is the best one. It's my favorite that they've come out with in the train line. And there's only one left. And it's funny because the last time I said Miles, and I forgot this one was leaked with the Miles on the same thing.
Oh, okay.
So it makes me feel like it really is Miles.
Then
So I
it
can't
is,
wait to
yeah.
see what that looks like.
Yeah. This one,
It's
just to kind of talk about this one, like I think this, like you said, is the better one of all of them, just because being on the Pixar ball is like such a cool, unique way of
yeah,
putting him on like a train set or whatever. Um, but yeah, the last one, obviously, it does seem like it's gonna be Miles. It's gonna be essentially, a Miles version. Um, I don't know, maybe he's on a web, he's upside down. I don't know. Who knows what how he's gonna be, but we just feel like it's random. But at the same time, they clearly just went into this being like, all right, we're gonna hit all of our major, like whatever's under Disney. Marvel's one, Star Wars is one, old school Disney's one, Pixar is kind of another branch, and they just make it into a train. So like, I get it. I just think it doesn't look as nice because obviously
No.
they're completely different things. Um, but Miles being, if that's what they go with, the actual one is a little bit off, even though, like you said, we both like Miles. It's not like a cornerstone of that of Marvel, I would think.
Yeah.
Woody makes sense. Toy Story obviously coming out, being the first, and then Woody being the main one. That makes sense. Darth Vader for obvious reasons for Star Wars.
Yep.
It's just like this is the only one that's like not. Even if it was just like regular Spider-Man, I guess it would still be a little odd, but it would make a little bit more sense. It doesn't make sense to you guys. I don't know. It is
It's
weird.
weird. I don't want to keep talking about it. I just find it so
Yeah, I know.
weird.
I just want to see it. So you'll see
I
what
just
they
want
are.
to see it too, because one thing I actually just thought of though while we're talking about this was, I mean, if you have little kids, you probably know this show, but Spidey and His Amazing Friends
Hmm.
on the Disney Channel, Miles is one of the main characters of that, but we don't have
Yeah.
Funko Pops from that show.
Yeah, which
Um,
is interesting that we don't.
it is because it's right. They don't do a good job with making Funko Pops for any of the like Disney kid shows. Maybe they're just like that's not the market, but like I know Nickelodeon has done it, but because it's
Mhm.
like I mean Bluey is one of the biggest shows in the entire world, and
Uh-huh.
like where's the Bluey Funko Pops? Like I'd buy that. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
it's just
No, I
interesting.
agree.
Um,
They could even do minis, like mystery minis, like with
yeah,
the Spidey and Friends ones, like mystery minis would
exactly.
be awesome.
Which kids would love. So part of me is like that could be the one saving grace. Like maybe it's that version. Still weird. I
Yeah,
don't, I don't, I doubt it, but it's
yeah,
just interesting. And then the train will be done. For
yeah,
some reason I thought there'd be more than this, but
yeah.
um,
Literally just going one per each
yeah,
little
and that's
section
it.
of Disney. Yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. We have another rapper coming out in Funko. We have 21
Yeah,
Savage, which is it's an interesting one. He's an interesting looking person, obviously, with all different tattoos and like the way he looks. So it's like very unique. Um, and like the mold's pretty good job. If you're a fan, obviously that's another one. They tend to like come out with like who's hot right now type artists here and there for the
yeah,
like rocks line. So this one kind of just fits right into that. Not anything I'm gonna get. I'm not like a big fan, but it does look pretty cool.
yeah. I agree. It looks cool, but it's not something I'll probably be picking up. But another thing I will be picking up, and speaking of mystery minis, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle ones,
Hmm.
which look awesome. And it's funny. Most of the hype is for the new movie, and a lot of the Funko product is for that. But these are for the OG, like cartoon, which I think is pretty cool. And it seems like they're just picking up the Ninja Turtles line in general because we're obviously just got the Bitty Pops. We're getting these, and I'm curious if we're gonna get like a go around again of the OGs, like a more modernized one. Because I know
Hmm.
we've talked about it in the past, but like we have the retro toys line, and then we have movie like pops from like the original like live action ones. They've
Yeah,
never redone the quote unquote like original
yeah,
ones like from
like
the
the
set. Like I'm
movie.
curious if we're
Yeah,
gonna get updated versions of those.
yeah, it is interesting, and that's like another one of those. It's very similar to like Indiana Jones. Like a new movie's coming out, and now they're
Yep.
just going crazy on like merchandise for that and old stuff, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it's like interesting that that's when they tend to do that. I think they even did that with like Power Rangers. Like they always do that a lot, where it's like something new will come out, and then they try to like go back into like the
Yeah.
stuff that's old, and it's like it doesn't always like make sense. Um, we have a couple events obviously going to be coming up soon. One of them is Target's Summer Geek Out, the 16th. Is
Yep.
this going to be one of those like weekly things where like every
I
week
think
they
so.
come out with something, right? Yeah, so
Yeah.
Target's been doing this a lot. Where they'll like release a couple random like exclusives and stuff. Usually like on a Friday or whatever it is. So on the 16th will be the first, I guess, set or whatever when they start talking about some of the Target's exclusive stuff that's coming out. So I guess we'll see. Most of the time, it's stuff that like I'm not like I don't get too excited for, but I guess we'll
I feel like
see.
it's mostly Marvel stuff these days, which
Yeah,
yeah, I don't feel like there's much Marvel coming out in the near future that I'm excited about. It's interesting. In a few weeks, we're gonna get the premiere of Secret Invasion, and there's like
Hmm.
no pops for that that've been announced besides that one Nick Fury
The Nick Fury one, yeah.
exclusive.
It is the only one, and
Yeah,
it was a Comic-Con exclusive.
it's
That's
so
why I grabbed
weird.
it, because I was like, this would be the first one. It's pretty cool.
Which no
Yeah,
one
nothing.
wanted that. That like sat forever, which I don't
Yeah.
get. That
I
pop
thought it
is
looked awesome. He
sick.
looks so cool, like with that
Yeah,
beanie on and like the scar. But I don't know. Maybe they're just kind of holding stuff under wraps for
yeah,
like maybe spoilers or whatever it
they
may
could
be.
be.
So like, who knows? But yeah, with Marvel's been interesting, and then they're kind of like in a weird place, I feel like. So I hope this show does well, because if it doesn't, I feel like a lot of people are off of Marvel. Like a lot of my personal good friends are really over Marvel right now,
Yeah,
especially after specifically after Quantumania, and just like how much stuff they were coming out. And they came out and kind of said they were going to slow it down anyways, like the shows and stuff, and not do as many,
yeah.
like as back to back type of thing. But I just hope it does well, because I'm excited for that. Obviously, into the Across the Spider Verse did well, but that's kind of like
It doesn't
not
count.
only MCU, yeah, so it doesn't really count. So
I think this show is going to do really good. It looks awesome. It's the first Marvel show in a while that I'm like super excited for. Looks a little dark. It kind of also looks
mm,
like it's going back more to like OG. Um, because speaking, did you ever watch Quantumania? Did you end up
no,
watching it?
still never have.
Which I feel bad because I know some people who even listen to the podcast like that movie. I know we talked about it a while ago. Like I did finally watch it. Like I thought it was terrible.
Yeah,
it's the
I heard
first
a
I
lot of people
actually
couldn't even get through it. They like stopped it because it
neither.
was just
It was the first Marvel movie that I truly like hated.
yeah.
I like the first one I think I could say like I truly thought was terrible.
And I
And
hear
I
like
hated Thor Love and Thunder, and like that's like a masterpiece compared to this movie.
well, I also, because one of the things that I heard, and it wasn't obviously just like the story or what was going on, whatever, was I heard that it just looked awful. Like it was just ugly looking, like the colors or whatever it was, it just
Yeah.
didn't, it
The
wasn't like
movie made there was
appealing.
no point to the movie, and like that's a mess, and it's unfortunate. Like, well, I feel more bad for I guess the women that Jonathan Majors, supposedly,
Yeah,
did
being
some not so
accused of,
nice
yeah.
stuff of, but now the dude who plays Namor is accused of um not some nice stuff either. So
Really?
yeah,
Sheesh.
it's crazy. I don't know why celebrities think they can still get away with this crap. Um, but that's I know that's much more important than just a dumb movie, but like that's not a good look even now for Marvel. They're lucky that they're in the multiverse saga right now, where like I feel like recasting will be easier and like
Yeah.
people will like accept it more. But it's just wild. Like the crumbling of Marvel right now is just
It
crazy.
that's what I was saying. It's like it's in such a weird state. Like honestly, what I was gonna say was what I am excited for. Obviously, I'm definitely excited for Secret Wars. I think it's gonna be it looks like it's gonna be pretty awesome. Um, but I'm kind of just like waiting for like that the big movie to come out, because it has we haven't really gotten the big movie like in a while. I mean, obviously we had Guardians, which kind of was like ending that whole
Yeah,
thing. Like now with this new stuff, like it's like what's gonna happen. But obviously with everything with Jonathan Majors and stuff. But I think it's interesting that like DC and Marvel both kind of are in the same type of situation where they're dealing with like all this out in public kind of crap that their actors are going through. But like all the talk that I keep hearing, like how bad Ezra Miller was and how all that stuff was, or whatever, it's like they kind of forgot about it. And it seems like there's like just running forward with him and they're going to keep him around now, is what I'm hearing. So, like, I wonder if like that same thing will happen with Marvel with some of these guys,
no way.
or is it going to just be like, they're gonna dead it. And the only thing I could see is like obviously being under the Mickey years, like
The
they're a
leadership,
little bit more strict on like things
yeah, the
than like
leadership
getting away.
over at that, you know, WB Discovery, like
Yeah,
not we don't that's not what our podcast is, but they're crazy and it's insane. Like no other studio is ever going to touch Ezra Miller again. It
yeah,
doesn't even matter if this movie does makes a lot of money. They're done. And supposedly a lot of people I've heard the movie's good and it is going to be entertaining. And if you're a fan, you're going to love it. But the
hmm,
whole it's the greatest super movie ever is just basically shills being paid off by the company to tell everyone it's amazing.
yeah, of course.
Like
That's what
it's
I
you're gonna
figured.
go in, it's gonna be like, oh, they already did this in No Way Home. Marvel already did this, and you're gonna like be like, okay, that was fun, and call it a day.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say about Marvel specifically, what I'm excited for is I think once they get into their like R-rated stuff, because they do have a
Yep.
little bit of a lineup that's gonna be coming out, whether it's shows or movies. I think that's where I'll get back into like, okay, this is some awesome stuff, like obviously
Deadpool is
with
gonna be
with
amazing.
Deadpool, with Daredevil, like those things. I
Yeah.
feel like they're gonna be super exciting. But yeah, either way,
But
we got
speaking of
into a little bit of
events
Oogie
too,
show talk.
yeah, well, which is fun. I know the listeners like it. They've asked for it. So and let us know if you want more of that type of stuff. But another event which tickets just actually went on sale for the other
Yeah.
day was New York Comic Con. And so that's coming up in October. So you can start, there was a pre-sale now to get these tickets. Obviously, we know Funko's a big presence there, and I'm hoping they'll have events again.
Mhm.
But we know that another event from Funko was just announced for San Diego Comic Con. Tickets went on sale. If you want to talk a little bit about that one.
Yeah, fun days stuff. So obviously we talked about, I think last week, that the theme was like the camp, like
Yeah.
the whole camp
And that
theme.
was before it was official.
Yeah. So we obviously, hopefully soon, we start hearing a little bit of what's going on with New York Comic Con if they are doing an event, which I'm assuming they're going to continue to do these big events
Yeah.
because they obviously are getting money off of them. Um, but yeah, these tickets went on sale Friday for the fun days, and they sold out within like 20 minutes. They were saying, like, just crazy, and they were pretty expensive. Like, they
Yeah.
weren't the cheapest things ever. What's interesting is, like, if you guys don't know, obviously with these events now, the way they have them is that you can only go to the event if you want. You don't have to necessarily go to the actual like con,
Con.
because that's a whole nother separate thing. So this isn't something that's included with that. Like, you're literally paying just to go to this. Obviously, you have opportunity to get a bunch of exclusive stuff and cool things that maybe no one else will get. And then for the most part, if it stays the same every year, then this year it stays the same. They're gonna have like the whole Freddy's and the boxes or whatever that are special to them, and then the ones that are online to everybody else, general public, who's not actually there. Which normally they do are similar, but they'll have some differences and some more exclusive stuff, which makes sense. We've always talked about
Yep.
that being what it should be.
I
If you're
like that.
actually the actual event, you're waiting, you're in line, whatever it is, you should have a better, opportunity to get something even cooler. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to see what's going to be coming out after that. But obviously, yeah, a lot of this stuff is going on sale now. And yeah, it's pretty pricey, some of the stuff, and especially for like that event, which, um, I guess you get some pretty cool stuff from the last few. They've been pretty good. I know they
Yeah.
haven't been run the most smoothly, it looks like, because is Reed Pop only New York Comic Con, or do they handle both
Yeah, they
Comic
don't
Cons
handle this. And like this, I feel like Funko is more in charge of 100% what they're doing on their
of the
own when
event
they,
one?
yeah, when they do it in San Diego,
Yeah,
which
because
I'm
I know
hoping
that was another thing
that
that
was a
was kind of a shit show.
fiasco,
Yeah.
which like I really want to try to go to it this year if I can, if we can get tickets.
Hmm.
But I'm hoping Funko has found a way to maybe just like do the event themselves. And they don't
Yeah.
need to be like that was what was so weird where like if people, I mean, if you're listening to our podcast, you're probably familiar with Fun Days, but that is like they just make it the same time as San Diego Comic Con to like generate off that buzz and like they know people are traveling to that, so they're gonna come to this event because it's like the same fan,
Hmm.
but they're not like associated.
Yeah.
I
But
don't
it has
understand
become like where you think about it that way.
it,
You think about
which
the
is
con
smart,
and what's the
exactly.
event going to be. That's kind of like what
Which
it now has become.
I wish it was that way for New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
Which like I'm hoping maybe they do get to do that because I think Funko was pretty classy and they didn't come out and basically say this event sucked because Repop made it suck.
Yeah.
But like that's I'm gonna go with just from experience I've had going to New York Comic Cons. That's why it wasn't the best.
Yeah. Definitely interesting to see, but keep out to see if more stuff starts going on sale and everything. So um should be exciting to see what these cons like
Yeah,
come out. And I'm sure we're gonna start getting the reveals of what's actually gonna be at San Diego Comic Con, and the leaks for fun days will start coming out. Like, all that stuff's gonna be coming soon, I'm sure. So we'll definitely talk about it once we know more
yeah,
about
I'm
it.
excited for those leaks.
Yeah, for sure. Um I want to talk about this real quick because I know obviously we want to get into NFTs, which we're going to be
Yeah.
pretty excited for. But it was just like a quick little like news or in the Funko news, and I did want to mention it because obviously it's Funko related. It is news,
Yeah.
but it also kind of ties into some of what we've said in the past and like kind of what we've thought of Funko as a company and the things that have gone, kind of not so well for them in the last couple of years. But right now, this is just kind of an article that went up where the title says Funko faces shareholder class action lawsuit. Johnson Fistel encourages investors to seek compensation for alleged wrongdoings from Funko, and obviously they're trying to affect their stock and all that stuff,
Yeah.
whatever. So we clearly have seen Funko stock go up and down. We've seen a lot of different craziness, and obviously the biggest stuff really was back when the warehouse stuff was coming out, where they were just having tons of issues with distribution and shipping and delays. And then obviously the chaos that happened at the
Yeah.
warehouse and all that stuff. But it all kind of stems from that warehouse, a lot of this mess, because it's funny. I remember the day when we literally sat here and we're like, oh, Funko's going to be opening up a new thing in Buckeye, Arizona near Phoenix. And we were like, oh, that's cool. That's going to make everything better. It's going to be faster. And it literally was the complete opposite. And I don't know, like, if that's just people up above or just they just were not able to execute that part of their business at
Yeah.
all. But it's interesting. I just want to read just a quick blurb here. So it says, according to the complaint, the company made false and misleading statements to the market, which is usually what affects the market a lot of times, is what they
Yep.
tend to agree on. And if they don't hit that projection or whatever it may be, Funko suffered from large delays in implementing its ERP system than it disclosed to investors. The company suffered from higher costs and poor inventory control at its new warehouse due to the ERP delay. The company's financial performance was impacted by its inability to run a properly functioning distribution system, which that's a jab. Based on these facts, the company's public statements false and materially misleading throughout the class period. When the market learned the truth about Funko, investors suffered damages. So a lot of this we kind of mentioned. Like we've talked about that obviously the distribution center was a mess, that a lot of because they couldn't run that. And it's interesting, like they literally says the inability for them to run a properly functioning distribution system, which is like when you're this big of a company and someone like says that to you, and that's literally what it looks like. And a lot of people are, kind of
Yeah.
tying into that. Like it's not good. It's not a good look. Now, we're not anywhere near the side of people that are like, oh, this is the worst thing for Funko. They're gonna go out of business and they're gonna be the freaking what are those damn things? Those
Beanie
stupid toy
Babies.
beanie babies. I almost said Furbies. Those they're gonna be beanie babies and they're gonna be gone.
No.
And like that's not happening at all. Like let's be real. Like, is this a hit on them? Yeah, for sure. I'm sure they'll take a hit. It's gonna be if you have their stock and all that stuff's gonna get affected.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring it up because it is kind of tying into what we've kind of mentioned that like clearly like they're still kind of in that mess where they're trying to fix it. Like they're not fully out of it. And it's been like this for a little while now, but this is kind of just another dig at like the way leadership or whoever it was, like how they executed on this whole entire warehouse thing. Like that's really like what I think it comes from. I don't know if you agree or like
No,
what your insights are on that.
I completely agree with you. And, as much as I am pretty fanboy of some of the leadership over at Funko, I think they need like new leadership, like as a whole. Even
Yeah.
like I hate to say it, but like maybe it's just time for like Brian to like go out into the sunset, still be a supporter, maybe be
Yeah.
on the board, but like I just almost feel like he got too big for his bridges, and like it's just he's kind of over it, which is sad because I love his story of him buying the company, and he is one of us, but like they just grew way too big, I think way too fast.
Yeah.
And like someone needs to come in there and like level it out again.
Yeah. Yeah, they need like a business mind, like someone that knows
Yes.
what's right to make money, what's right for a business, whatever it may be. And you still, like you said, whether they're part of a board or a creative team or whatever it is, you still want that type of person to help, create things and like figure out like, oh, these things do well and that, whatever. But like I do agree that like I feel like leadership up there is like it's just not like these guys. We see these videos of them and stuff like coming out, and you're just like, There's no way these guys are running this company. Like they
Nah,
seem
I know.
so shot. Like they're just like
It's
way
just
past their prime. And I think, like you said, it blew up too fast. And COVID was the big reason. Like they're one of the. It's so funny because there's not many, but most companies crumbled because of the pandemic.
yep.
And this is one of the companies that actually flourished faster because of the pandemic. And there's other obviously companies like Zoom, which we use,
Yeah.
things like that. That like companies you didn't think were going to make money, and because of that, there was a necessity, or people were just home and people started doing things, whatever. And then they just kind of then once like the economy started getting into it, was like, okay, now I don't want to keep spending money on these things. They've started been going back down, and they haven't really figured it out because it's been messy, and it's just like we
Which
love
is
it.
crazy because they were
We're
fine
always gonna love it.
before.
Yeah. Oh, of
Like,
course. They were obviously a great, but like, going at a pace, but a lot of times it's true. Like people that grow too fast don't know what to do. And then when they start to crash, they can't figure out how to get back because they're not just like they were kind of coasting. If you think about it, they didn't have to really do anything. Oh, let's just release stuff and people were just buying things. Everyone loved it. And
yeah,
it's like it's not the same thing anymore.
no,
So
it's just
definitely I
not.
agree, like with the whole change or some type of change because they need somebody who's a little bit more like smart on the business end of things because some of the stuff is just like, why did you do that? Or why are you wasting money on this or whatever?
Yeah. And even the videos, like, no,
Yeah, I don't even get
I don't
those.
think
Like he
Brian,
does like food things or like what? Like,
it's just funny. Brian shouldn't be in videos like that. He just shouldn't be, in my opinion.
yeah.
Mike is, I mean, that's kind of his stitch, and like he's known
Yeah.
for that. But like, I
But
feel
even
like Brian
he's
wants
like
to do.
cringe right now too.
Yeah,
It's like,
he is. They both are like they just like you said, they look just like worn out. And like it is funny. They're running a toy collectible company, but it's like showing like they really still want to be children. Brian was never that way, in my opinion, from a fan.
yeah.
He was kind of like he actually reminded me a lot of someone who I really admire, Bob Iger. He
Hmm.
knew the business, but he also knew the creative side. Like I actually thought Brian was that guy, and I think he really just wanted to do creative stuff, which is why he stepped down from being CEO. And maybe that's
Hmm.
because he realized like this really isn't my strength anymore. And he built Funko up to what it became because he was the creative guy who loved collectibles. I mean, if you see that guy's like Pez collection, it's unreal. Like
Hmm.
they're just collecting toys in general. And now, yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep talking in circles. It's just upsetting to see. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It is weird. It's odd. But we can get into NFTs.
NFTs, baby.
Let's talk about the NFT news.
So first,
So
we'll just
what is it?
go real quick before we talk about the new one.
Hmm.
Adventure Time. We didn't participate in it. That's why you didn't see any videos from us. And
Did it
it
sell
seems like
out?
it sold out, but like those are kind of sitting on the Atomic Hub. Like you could go get them right now for what they were. Like if you
Yeah.
wanted them. Like I don't like people. It had its fan base. They sold out. People were pumped about them. But like I feel like once the next drop happens, like Adventure Time is like no one's gonna really care about. That's the vibe
Yeah.
I've been getting.
Yeah, it seemed a little like, and like even like the redeemables, like their values are like basically nothing. You could just like buy
Exactly.
them for cheap, so it wasn't as like hyped up. I know, like I mean, I'm sure it has its own fan base, but maybe
Yep.
just not as many of them are into NFTs or whatever.
This
So,
next drop though will be interesting in my opinion because we're both pumped for it. I know Migs is really pumped for it, but so now we can guarantee say that list is true. They
mhm.
came out with it. That's the next drop, which I find fascinating because I really wish now that it was not part of the Warner Brothers horror. That should have
Mhm.
just been a Conjuring universe drop, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And
because it was a majority of that.
it
Just he
was. It
just
had
randomly got the Pennywise.
an Exorcist, which like you didn't need. Um, and like I don't think this will sell out. It'll be popular. We both love it, but like I don't think it is big enough to demand its own set like this. Just in my opinion. Like I'm excited for it and like I'm taking off my like fandom here and especially like I know you're a huge fan, but like I feel like it was so popular when this movie came out and they made so many pops and then like no one really cared about it anymore. And the second movie didn't do well,
Yeah.
which
So I
it's this seems like this set's mostly based off of that one.
yeah, it's like so it basically kind of is based off the cards, at least it's a mixture of both. But a lot of the redeemable stuff, which we'll talk about like kind of more towards the second one, which yeah, it wasn't as popular. I wasn't as big of a fan of the second movie, honestly, either. Like the first one, I absolutely loved the first movie. I thought it was like
Me too.
amazing. It reminded me so much of like why I love Stranger Things with like the group of kids, and like it's just like all kind of
Yeah.
like in that time, I was really excited for it. Um, and when it comes even with the pops, like I have a ton of that first like wave, whatever, like the basic, all the kids and everything, and then a few Pennywises. But I think what happened was what you kind of mentioned quickly is that they kind of oversaturated. They went wild with Pennywise.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had a bunch of different versions of him in the movie and whatever, but like they went like crazy with Pennywise. And there was this version of him, this version of that one, and then they did like exclusives and whatever it is. So like they kind of like oversaturated way too much. I think the timing was a little bit weird because obviously it's like it's been a long time since that came out, so it's not relevant to like the
Yeah.
movie or anything or when it was out. It's obviously not close to Halloween, so like it's kind of just like in a weird place. Now, I'm still excited for it. I think it's still an awesome line. I I like kind of get what you're saying. Well, like it didn't necessarily need its own line, but I think there are enough characters that justify it to have its own line
Fair.
because whether it was just the kids or a lot of different versions of Pennywise or these other like like what do you want to call them, like basically like nightmares, there's enough of them that they can come out with like redeemables and cards and stuff, and it seems like the cards are pretty cool, and the redeemables, which we'll talk about in a little bit, like are pretty interesting. I'm starting to like them a little bit more the more I started to like really
Yeah,
look
they're
into
more
them,
niche, which I
and like
like.
yeah, exactly. So like I think in that aspects it is. Now I think the one thing that kind of throws it off is that there already was a Pennywise and there was the Freddy as Georgie
Yeah.
as a royalty in another set. I think that's what's a little bit, if that never happened, I think this line would be even better because it'd
Complete.
be
I
like,
agree.
yeah, you'd be like, wow, we're getting something completely fresh. It's obviously a WB property, so they're really running with
They're
everything
just
that they
milking
have
that,
that's
which I
with
know.
WB.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that aspect of it, I guess, is probably why they're like really going hard at it. But just to kind of go into it, so obviously, um, we do have the leaks, and then we saw a couple pictures because they haven't officially shown the redeemables and what they look like
No.
in the boxes or anything yet. But we do have the 4 legendaries and then the Grail. We don't know exactly what the royalty is, although we have an idea what it might be. It's not like official yet. So based off of the legendaries, we do have the Henry Bowers one, which I think that one's amazing. It's like
Yeah.
so cool. He's all bloody. That obviously he was a very big character. So they went with 2 of the like bullies, I guess. So like him and then the Patrick ones, Patrick Hockstetter is another like bully that was around, and that one's kind of like when he was like all like
Yeah.
looks like a zombie basically. And then the other one, Henry's like the blood and everything. So those 2 I think were pretty cool. The leper was obviously one of the like nightmare type of scenes,
Yep.
whatever, which that scene was awesome in the movie. Like I
Yeah.
thought that was like a really good scene. So it's cool that we're getting that in a pop. And anytime you get some kind of like a skeleton looking pop,
It
they usually
looks cool.
look pretty cool. Like one eye's missing. Then there's a lumberjack one. This one I believe is from the second one.
It is. Yeah.
And this is one of the ones that I'm not like as excited. It looks awesome.
The
It
pop
looks
looks
just
cool.
like, yeah, the pop actually looks pretty cool. Like if I get any of these, I'll be happy because they look. I think the molds are gonna look awesome, like the actual mold itself.
Yeah.
Not everyone knows about this movie. I mean, obviously most people do, but not everyone's seen it. And everyone's a fan. Horror is also something that everyone's not a fan of. So I do see a lot of people kind of like passing or not wanting to be interested in this because maybe they haven't really seen this movie or they only seen the original or whatever it may be. And then the Grail is going to be another Pennywise. So this is interesting that we're getting one. It's Pennywise defeated, and it's him obviously like laying back on like the bed thing there or whatever. So like that one looks a little weird. I don't think it's like I
It
don't think
looks
it like
weird.
looks great. So like they could have totally done a different version of Pennywise if they wanted to still go with the Pennywise.
Yeah.
Which I guess kind of leads us into what the royalty, which what we think is going to be, because there is a card of this, and it's Pennywise basically in like his like clown like makeup kind of melting and dropping down. Um, which was kind of like in the second one as well, where you see more of like the actual actor
But yeah.
and like Pennywise. It's not just like the straight up clown that we always see. And I think that looks sick. Freddy as
I think
that
that's
looks
awesome.
fire as
Yes.
hell. And we said to each other, like, before we even saw that leak, we're like, what else is it going to be? Because obviously we already have Freddy as Georgie, which I'm so excited I was able to get that royalty and I can't wait to get it. And then Freddy as Pennywise exists already. It's a mega
Yeah.
grail. So I mean, the fact that that's a mega grill, like, kind of tells you that, like, it or like that style, like, still is popular. So, like,
Which is
I
very
don't know.
true.
I'm kind of torn on like how this is gonna go, but I'm excited for it. I'm definitely gonna try to get a bunch
Yeah,
of packs because I want to get like all of these, honestly.
I have them all too, and I don't want to act like I'm not excited. I am. I'm just like you just said, like I wish they weren't part of that horror WB horror one. It just would have made this
Yeah,
one a little better. Even though like the Georgie Freddy is sick, I do think this Freddy is like amazing. And I kind of wish they made more of the like the kids
yeah.
as like the adults, but do they all exist in just common?
I don't. I was just gonna say I don't even know if they hate them because I didn't get any. If there was that
Yeah.
second wave, like I said, I had the kids from the first one. I think they're super cool. I like all the ones that they came out with, but I feel like when the second wave came out, it was mostly Pennywise, like a lot
Pennywise.
more Pennywise, and like, and then like obviously the Pennywise with like the dripping face kind of like does
Yeah.
exist, not as Freddy, obviously. But I don't know if there was any kids. If you guys know, let us know because
Let us
I
know.
can't think of it off the top of my head if they came out with like not kids, like them as grown-ups, basically. So I'm not positive. Um, but what do you think of the set or like the redeemables?
I think they're
What are
see.
some of your favorites?
So I like the redeemables as a whole because I've said this in the past. Like I like that they're kind of niche characters, even though I just said I wish there were some of the adults as the kids. It's more just because like I think be some of them would be cool.
Yeah,
Like let's get a Bill Hader Funko Pop.
yeah, yeah.
But it's just I do like that I think they're all cool. Like I like them all. I don't think there's any ones that are so like they're all equal in my opinion. Like I'd be happy to get any of them.
Mhm.
And I do wish they continue to do this because sometimes they're not the niche. This feels like an NFT drop, like special of what you're getting. It's not just all the main people,
Yeah.
which I like.
Yeah, I think what like fits into my whole thing is like obviously if you guys know me or you know been watching my videos, you've always known like I've been a huge horror fan in general, and specifically when it came to Funko, I was always like those were like the ones I would love the most and go
Yeah,
try to go towards. Like my horror collection is obviously one of my bigger collections, and I think it's because they usually always have great detail and like the blood and like ooze or whatever it may be. And I feel like all of these being that like is why I'm kind of like a little bit more excited because it's like they all have that horror aspect to them. And that's why I'm also like super excited for like that horror, even though like we said, we wish Pennywise wasn't necessarily part of it. That horror line that's coming, which obviously I redeemed it, but obviously, it takes forever to come in
yeah,
like to get those in. I'm like very excited because those fit perfectly into what that like stuff that I like.
yeah,
um but it just makes it interesting because obviously the list is correct. We've talked about this multiple times.
yeah.
That now means that we're down to well two more on that list at least, which we are Powerpuff Girls and
Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty. So those obviously are going to be two other ones. Like I just wonder if we're going to get another leak list or like what are they going to get away from WB because they've really been
I
tied
want
to
them
that for
to.
now. And I just wonder why. And I mean, not that they have to, because there's probably some other stuff with WB that we may like that like they
Yeah,
haven't come out with yet. But I do want to see some new stuff and like see something else. But a lot of these now too, when they announce them, they're announcing them saying series one, which makes you think that they're going to come out with more.
yeah.
So like if we get a series two of this, is that when we get some more of the kids or them as adults and some more different Pennywises? Same thing, kind of like what we mentioned with Dark Knight. Is that when we get Joker in series two because now it says series one? And I don't know if in the very beginning were they just the set or did when they first came out with a series two, is that when they started being like, all right, let's make these series ones?
They always did this, so that's why it's like I
Okay,
know some people get
couldn't
them of
remember.
like yeah. So it's just I feel like they're just saying it to say it. Like
Mhm.
we may never see series two of let's just say Star Trek, for example.
Oh, okay. So, but
Um,
it was named series one when it
it
first initially came
it
out.
was
Okay.
so yeah. It's interesting though that they are doing that because you would feel like it implies that we would
Yeah.
continuously get them, and they've showed they have, but
It
like
opens it up, I guess, that if they ever wanted to, they can, I guess.
because like where's series two of like Ninja Turtles, the original NFT line that they made? It's kind of crazy. Like now would be the time to do that.
Yeah,
the
true.
license that they have, I feel like with Paramount is interesting because like the Nickelodeon series 2 came out of nowhere, in my opinion. Like I was
Hmm.
not expecting that. Like they were just like chugging along with WB. And like,
Yeah.
most of them are. And but we still don't have Harry Potter, which I will say that until we
Yeah.
get
See,
Harry
that's
Potter.
one. Yeah, that's one of the WBs that I'm like, I'm okay with them sticking with it if they go with something like that. Like
I still have this weird feeling that that leaked pop of Ron playing Quidditch could be an NFT pop,
like the
not a fun
royalty.
days. Yeah. I don't know why I just do.
Could be.
Um
It'd be interesting if it is because that's like something when we talk about, and we went through this, but when we talk about NFTs and like how long they take to redeem and when they're coming out, and the fact that like some were just randomly showing up at that warehouse and
yep.
selling, like, so like if that's the case and that already is made and we don't even have an inkling that they're announcing this, like that's kind of wild. Unless that's just somebody who had the mold, like, wow, they were like, okay, maybe we'll make this as something
Yeah,
for the
which I feel like
NFTs,
it could be. I mean, that
but
could have
who
been
knows?
fake. I mean, that could be a fun days one, but like I don't feel like Harry, like I don't know. Like, do we need to have like is Harry Potter gonna fit in that like collection? I know we went back and forth. Does the camp thing really mean anything? It probably only matters for whatever like the quote unquote like mascot is.
Mascot, yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting. I just don't understand why there's no Harry Potter. Especially we've said that's one of their biggest lines. It continuously makes them money, and that actually got people to buy NFTs that have never bought NFTs.
Mhm.
And like we get why we don't have Marvel yet, we don't have Star Wars, but like they clearly have the license to Harry Potter.
Yeah. And WB specifically with NFTs at
Well,
least.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's great. It's interesting.
Yeah. But I don't know. We'll see. But let us know how excited you guys are,
Yeah,
if at all, for this line. I know it's kind of mixed out there. I see people like, oh, why are they coming out this again? Whatever. But like I'm excited. I mean, either way, that's good. So the actual, I don't know if we said this. So the 20th, so June 20th, so it'll be next week, next Tuesday is when these drop. So we'll definitely be getting packs like both me and Charlie said, and hopefully we can get some good stuff. Try to keep my streak going. I know
yeah,
Charlie's trying to start one up again. So
yeah,
hopefully we get some good stuff. But definitely let us know, what you guys liked of some of the news that we talked about, your thoughts of all that stuff, and specifically the NFTs as well. Because we love hearing, all you guys letting us know for sure. So Charlie, you can let everybody know where to follow us and
yeah. So
go.
obviously you can follow us over on our YouTube channel, and if you've made it this far, hopefully you're already subscribed. But if not, if you could please hit that subscription button, we would really appreciate it. Make sure you like this video, comment, and like I said, hit that notification bell so you know when new videos come out. And then obviously we're on every podcast platform out there. So share that link with all your family and friends so we can really spread this podcast, continue to do it. I know we've been doing it for some time, but we're still really trying to grow. And follow us on there so you know when the new episodes drop. And then obviously we're on social media, so you can follow us at Collector Chatter on Instagram, and then at pop_Migs and at Collector_Charlie. And let us know what you thought of all the news, like Mick said, and we really want to know how you're feeling about this new NFT drop. And also, so everyone knows, this Wednesday is the end of the Nickelodeon Series 2. So make sure you have everything together in your wallet, and so you can get that royalty and all your deals, because you do not want to let those go to waste.
Yeah,
It's good, which is never fun. You will then obviously
yeah,
have your month to redeem them, but please, everyone should always check out what those dates are. I'm only saying this because I still see people in NFT groups I'm in who are like, oh my God, I forgot to redeem my coin. And like, there's nothing worse than that.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think I think coming up soon we have a few new redemptions in
we
the
do.
next couple of weeks and
They're just
stuff.
going to
So
keep boom,
yeah,
boom, booming.
yeah.
So with that being said, everyone, collecting is the way. Until the next episode, later.
Bye everyone.